Welcome to you all for the very first 100% virtual State of the Campus Address at IUPUI. Article 3, Section D of the Constitution of the IUPUI faculty calls for the Chancellor of IUPUI to report to the state of the campus at the annual meeting. Today, I am pleased to introduce the Chancellor on the occasion of this annual address. As many of you know, Chancellor Padar has a long history here at IUPUI. He joined the faculty in 1985 as a professor of mechanical engineering and rose through the ranks here, as well as serving as vice chancellor at the IU Center in Columbus and as chancellor of IU East in Richmond. He was named the 5th chancellor of IUPUI and executive vice president of the Indiana University in 2015. Since beginning his work here, Chancellor Padar has taken bold steps to support student success, to transform our campus physically, and to reinforce and strengthen IUPUI's status as a destination campus through such projects as the Welcoming Campus Initiative. As president of the IFC, I have seen his leadership up close and personal in response to many challenges, but the COVID-19 pandemic is the great challenge for us all. I want to say that I believe his work to keep us all safe to be exemplary, and I thank him for it. I want to also thank him for all that he has done to ensure our continuing progress across IUPUI and welcome him to the virtual podium for his address. Chancellor Padar.
Thank you, Professor Watson, and thank you all for being here this afternoon. John, I want to thank you for your leadership of the IFC, as well as extend my gratitude to colleagues serving on the Faculty Council. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon to present my State of the Campus address. I can see among our list of attendees a number of other distinguished guests. So I'm delighted to welcome Chancellor Emeritus Charles Vance. I'm also pleased to welcome IU trustees Jim Morris and Molly Connor. Molly is also a student in McKinney Law. Also with us is Purdue trustee Mike Klipsch, who serves on the IUPUI Board of Advisors. Thank you for being here. I'm also pleased that so many other members of our IUPUI Board of Advisors could join us this afternoon, as well as members of the IUPUI Chancellor Circle. Delighted to have you part of this event. Special welcome to Staff Council leaders, and thank you for your service to our campus. I'm always pleased to see members of the Senior Academy, a number of whom are with us this afternoon. I want to also thank our student leaders, including members of my student advisory board who have joined us today. Once again, thank you all for being here. Before I begin my official remarks, I would also like to say a word of gratitude to President Michael McRobbie, who will be retiring at the end of June 2021. During his tenure, President McRobbie brought vision to his role as president that is firmly tied to university history and tradition, at the same time as it has built a pathway to the future of our institution. Between now and next June, we'll have additional opportunities to celebrate President McRobbie, but I wanted to add my thanks to him in my State of Campus address, my official remarks about the state of the IUPUI campus. Exactly 2 weeks ago today was the 2020 presidential election. Regardless of who you voted for, all of us can celebrate the fact that voter turnout this year exceeded that of any other election in modern American history. We can also celebrate the continuation and affirmation that our democratic process works. Our campus has been nationally recognized for civic engagement, and I'm especially pleased that our IUPUI students are being well educated and well prepared for their lives and responsibilities as engaged citizens. I look forward to seeing what this new administration will bring to our nation leadership. 4 years ago, I delivered my first State of the Campus address, just a week before the presidential election. In that address, I said that depending on who gets elected, the next 4 years for our country will look dramatically different. We have seen the powerful truth of that statement over the past 4 years. I went on to say that no matter the winner, What will remain the same is the value of higher education to our students who will be living, learning, and earning and in an increasingly global environment. To best serve these students, I said, we in higher education must continue to focus on our strategic priorities. In the past 4 years, we at IUPUI have remained firm in our commitment to our strategic priorities of fostering student success, advancing health and life sciences, and contributing to our communities both near and far. We have also strengthened our commitment to our core values of ensuring that IUPUI is an intentionally inclusive, equitable, diverse, and accessible campus community that inspires educational, personal, social, and professional achievement. I made a simple statement back in 2016 that really, to me, tells the story of IUPUI. The thread that holds our campus together is people. Our strategic priorities, our core values, and our people are the reasons we have been able to weather the COVID-19 crisis. They are the reasons that the state of our campus is as strong as it is today. So now, let me share with you some highlights of the state of the IUPUI campus. Over the past 8 months, we have been living through the pandemic together, and many of you have joined at least one of the 18 town hall meetings for faculty, staff, and students at which I presented over the past 8 months to share COVID-19 updates. Even so, let me recap a few major milestones of what has happened since March. Our number one priority from the beginning has been to promote the health and safety of our campus community. This led us to transition to remote learning in March. Most students were sent home from our residence halls and received prorated refunds on their housing, dining, parking, and other fees. Most faculty staff were asked to work remotely, and we have encouraged remote work throughout the fall semester where possible. Our success on the IUPUI campus has resulted from a number of strategies: wearing masks, safe physical distancing, reducing the number of people on campus, as well as educating and communicating with our community. Along with these important steps, we have developed testing, tracing, isolation, and quarantine programs that have been vital. I want to thank the members of our university medical response team who have coordinated these complicated efforts: Dr. Cole Beather, Dr. Adrian Gardner, and Dr. Aaron Carroll. Thank you very much. I also want to thank members of our IUPUI COVID Scenario Planning Task Force who are with us actually today as red ribbon guests. Their tremendous collaborative effort helped us reach this point. So thank you very much. With vigilance, our positive cases have remained remarkably low, and currently our positivity rate stands at 0.5% according to our online COVID-19 dashboard. Now, it goes without saying that the impact of all this on our budget has been enormous. As we were preparing the budget for this academic year in June, we anticipated that our costs would be going up and our revenue would be going down. To prepare for these changes, in June, we cut budgets 5% across the board on campus. We implemented a hiring freeze and put in place restrictions on university-sponsored travel, as well as reducing other non-HR related parts of our budget to stay true to our commitment of putting people first. Now, additionally, in August, when the semester started, the state cut our appropriation by 7.5%. With our careful planning and management, we have been able to respond to the fiscal challenges that COVID-19 has imposed without experiencing a financial crisis. Thanks go to Vice Chancellor Cami Broker, all school fiscal officers, deans, and directors for making the appropriate adjustment so that we could face these tremendous challenges. As we look to the future, we'll remain focused on keeping people safe, healthy, and employed, putting people first every step of the way. As we have faced the COVID crisis, we have kept our strategic priorities firmly in mind, and those priorities will serve as the basis for the rest of my address this afternoon. I will begin with student success, move to our thriving research enterprise, and close with a focus on our contributions to the city of Indianapolis, the state of Indiana, and beyond. Let me begin with student success, our number one strategic priority. College students, broadly speaking, are facing challenges they never anticipated. With the shift to remote instructions, the loss of much anticipated social experiences, and the intense pressure of the new COVID-19 normal, these challenges are having an impact on university enrollment across the nation. This fall, nationally, undergraduate enrollment shrank by 4%, with first-year student enrollment falling by as much as 16% nationally. Just last week, it was reported that the number of students filing the Common App, which IUPUI uses, is down 8% compared to last year. With these figures in mind, we are working harder and smarter across campus to create new strategies for connecting with students, keeping them engaged, and letting them know we care about them. One of these strategies was the Jaguar Check-in telephone campaign launched last spring. Through that campaign, faculty, staff, volunteers called 19,000 undergraduate students. We wanted to know how these students are doing and add a personal touch. One surprise for our volunteers was that 11,000 of those students actually answered their phones. Students were surprised and grateful for the personal touch, with volunteers helping to solve problems and connecting students to resources when needed. We have also conducted students and employee surveys to gather feedback that we are using to refine our strategies to meet student needs. As a result of this and the work of recruiters, advisors, and others across the campus, our enrollment this fall remained relatively unchanged with 29,390 students. Of those students, nearly 21,000, more than 71%, are taking at least one face-to-face classes, with 29% taking all of their classes online. Let me add that our enrollment at IU Fort Wayne is up a remarkable 32% this fall compared to last year. I appreciate all that Fen Li Chang and Obergfell and their team at IU Fort Wayne have done to continue recruiting, retaining, and providing educational opportunities for so many students in the region. Thinking about the decline in application this fall, we have developed the Jaguar Commitment Initiative postcard campaign, which will result thousands of prospective IUPUI students. They will reach them, thousands of them. Faculty, staff members have volunteered to handwrite personal messages to these students, encouraging them to pursue higher education at IUPUI. Of course, to qualify as volunteers, you have to have legible handwriting, which eliminated me and most of our physicians. I appreciate this creative engagement with prospective students and want to thank our commitment champions who are here as Red Ribbon. Thank you so much. I would also like to extend a sincere word of thanks to our staff in student affairs, especially housing and residence life. Your careful and considered work to keep students and parents informed and engaged and to promote health and safety ensured that they have the most up-to-date information so that they could make the best decisions quickly. I appreciate all that you have done to help our students stay engaged and succeed. But enrollment is the first step of many as students progress towards graduation, and teaching is a vital part of that equation. I'm incredibly proud that IUPUI ranked in the top 12 Tier 1 National Public University for having the very best undergraduate teaching by US News and World Report this year. We tied for 12th place with the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, the University of Florida, and Texas A&M University. So those three institutions were in very good company. We're also ranked among the most innovative campuses in the country once again. What I'm especially proud about are the tremendous efforts our faculty have made to meet the changing needs to our students. The Institute for Engaged Learning and the Center for Teaching and Learning offer the number of professional development opportunities to help facilitate the transition to the online or remote environment. The projects growing out of the Institute and CTL demonstrate time and again faculty innovation in the interest of our students. I've learned about the welcome video made by nursing classes, the use of small group breakout discussions in human physiology, retooling the sophomore internship program for the remote environment, and a new course on white privilege in the workplace. I know that these are just the tip of the iceberg, and I'm deeply appreciative of the creativity our faculty have brought to support student success. Let me say a special word of thanks to those from IUPUI and IUPUC who have joined us as red ribbon guests, especially those who participated in the small teaching online workshop and in tips and strategies to promote student learning and engagement. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank Jerita Day and Terry Tarr for their leadership in supporting our faculty and student success. Before I move on, I would like to acknowledge our faculty. I know an incredible amount of time and planning have gone into details of your classes and your works in labs, in studios, and in the community. Under normal circumstances, you would likely not have needed to spend nearly as much time or energy on these matters. You have taken great care to think through questions like how to take attendance. What about a seating chart? What if your internet fails? Will bad weather today impact your signals? What if a student is sick? Should you offer extra credits? Where do you give your tests? How do you keep your students honest? Should you allow makeup exam? I feel stressed just sharing that list. It may feel like you're doing thankless work, but please remember the lives you're changing for the better. And know that every day I am more grateful than ever for your hard work and sacrifices. Deeply connected with our efforts to help students succeed is our commitment to creating a diverse and inclusive campus where students feel like they belong. The virus has not changed the fact that diversity and inclusion are among the core values of IUPUI campus. These values are woven into our strategic plan and guide our decision-making. Our work towards a more diverse, inclusive, and welcoming campus is ongoing. In fact, one of my first decisions as chancellor 5 years ago was to form task forces focused on the recruitment and retention of students of color at IUPUI. Those task forces developed a number of recommendations which we have worked to implement since then. This fall, more than 30% of our IUPUI student body were students of color. I think this deserves a round of applause. 30%. In addition, we saw encouraging increases in the retention rates among our Latino students as well as our African American students this year. We can attribute these advances to changes such as the increase in need-based aid from $0 in the first year I started in my role as Executive Vice Chancellor in 2012 to more than $10 million this year. We have also enhanced our investment in recruiting and retention of faculty of color so that students have role models who look like them. And we have made many other changes, including developing a campus tour program in Spanish, expanding our staff in the Multicultural Center, and increasing housing stipends, among other important adjustments. Events over the summer, including the murder of George Floyd, further reinforced the need for our continuing and strengthening our efforts related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. In the aftermath of that tragedy, I established the Action Committee to develop recommendations under the leadership of Vice Chancellor Karen Days to help us re-envision the university in ways that lead to anti-racist practices. I would like to thank our committee members who have joined us as Red Ribbon guests here today. Thanks to this committee's good work, we have already implemented a number of the recommendations and have identified barriers to equity that we are working to remove. One of their most inspiring recommendations takes us back to 1969. At that time, residents of the neighborhoods where IUPUI now stands were displaced in the interest of campus expansion. In honor of the descendants of those displaced people, we have established the Through Their Eyes Scholarship. Those whose families were displaced are eligible to apply for this scholarship beginning in January. This is our way to express gratitude and respect to those whose history is tied to our campus. We named the scholarship in honor of the IUPUI Black Student Union's 2006 Black Student Initiative, which advanced efforts to achieve racial equity and inclusion on this campus. In addition, just last month, we established the Center for Africana Studies and Culture. The center broadens the scope of the School of Liberal Arts' existing Africana Studies program through opportunities for public scholarship, professional learning, undergraduate research, and related programming. These are vital investments in diversity, equity, and inclusion that strengthen the foundation upon which we will continue to build. I'm especially pleased about an initiative in support of diversity, equity, and inclusion that is taking place within academic affairs, where we are carefully examining our promotion and tenure guidelines. We want to make sure that they reflect and reward the efforts our faculty undertake to enhance equity and inclusion, whether that be through service, mentoring, teaching, or research. As we make changes to academic policies, procedures, practices, and traditions in support of diversity, equity, and inclusion, our faculty are also continuing the hard work of research and teaching. It gives me great pride that 15 out of the 37 projects to be funded by the broader Indiana University Racial Justice Research Fund were based on the IUPUI campus. I want to recognize all of our Red Ribbon guests who received that funding from the Office of Vice President for Research. Your work in the interest of racial justice is also work in the interest of a better, safer, and more humane world around all of us. Now I will move on to our second strategic priority, advances in the health and life sciences. I will also focus more broadly on our research enterprise as a whole. The fact that our faculty continue to make great strides in research, even in the face of a global pandemic, is remarkable. It is testimony to your dedication, your passion for discovery and creation, your curiosity, and so much more. I've said before, and I'll say again, that there are many ways we can measure faculty accomplishments: a number of books, chapters, and paper published, exhibitions of creative work, patents filed, conference presentations, community partners supported. For our campus, such achievement number in the thousands, and I could spend the rest of this week sharing every single accolade. But that will be time well spent, but talk about Zoom fatigue. One shortcut to measuring faculty achievement is in our total external grants and awards, which are also impressive. This past year, we reached another milestone in terms of that research funding. Including the School of Medicine, our external grants and awards amounted to $633 million last year, and that deserves a hat. I'm proud that many of our faculty rallied in response to the pandemic, conducting research specifically focused on COVID-19. From early in the pandemic, the Savvy Coronavirus Data Hub, developed in our Polis Center, has served as an important resource for the state of Indiana as we have tracked the spread of the virus as well as its impact on families of color. In addition, the School of Informatics and Computing, in partnership with the IU School of Medicine and IU Health, helped develop faster COVID diagnosis tests for healthcare workers. School of Engineering Technology has continued to develop ventilator, PPE, and other innovations. Among many projects, these include pneumatic-powered ventilators, reusable face masks incorporating virus-killing copper, and protective boxes for intubation procedure that help contain virus-laden aerosols. Our School of Social Work and School of Nursing are also addressing the pandemic, helping K-12 teachers and other school personnel who work with students struggling to cope as a result of this health crisis. Throughout the crisis, Fairbanks School of Public Health has also been a leader. They have worked with Indiana State Department of Health, the Marion County Public Health Department, and the Regan Street Institute to develop predictive models to forecast COVID-19 patient impact on Indiana hospitals. I will return a little later in my remarks to the outstanding and far-reaching work of our Fairbanks School. I want to congratulate our faculty members who received COVID-19 rapid response grants from the Office of the Vice Chancellor for Research who have joined us as Red Ribbon guests. As much as COVID-19 has preoccupied many of us, are working continuously, steadily across our entire research portfolio at IUPUI. With the enrollment challenges we are facing, especially in terms of international students, I was pleased when I learned that the Office of International Affairs and the School of Liberal Arts have received the Title VI U.S. Department of Education Undergraduate International Studies and Foreign Language grant. The primary goal of this collaborative research project is to internationalize the first-year experience. There may be no better time than now to have received such a grant, which will allow students to continue building global skills, even as global travel has become more challenging. While we are thinking globally, we are still acting locally, as our School of Education received a significant grant from the Indiana Department of Education to deliver cultural competency training and support to Indiana schools. I appreciate the fact that this grant extends our commitment to diversity and inclusion and shares it with our community partners. Another important development in our research enterprise is our establishment of the new Institute for Integrative Artificial Intelligence led by Professor Shaofen Fang. The Institute is helping to coordinate and promote AI and AI-related research activities in areas as varied as the automotive industry, medical imaging, and law enforcement. Research at IUPUI is a team effort. Our faculty members depend every day on staff colleagues to keep projects moving forward, to tell their stories, and to take care of countless other tasks that are vital to the research enterprise. Many of those staff members have shouldered additional responsibilities as a result of COVID-19, with some of their jobs changing radically. IUPUI staff members are assisting with COVID-19 testing, helped set up flu vaccine clinics, distributed masks on campus, and ensured the prompt ordering and delivery of personal protective equipment. And in addition, they have ensured the continuing operation of campus at a time of heightened stress and anxiety for everyone. I'm deeply grateful for all that our staff has done to adjust to this new normal. Before I move on, I want to say a special word of thanks to CFS employees for all that you have done since March to promote health and safety on our campus. I have been impressed, as have others, with the hard work you have been doing, especially with the new, more intense cleaning protocols. I really appreciate it, and I know others do that too. Thank you. Now I will move to IUPUI's third strategic priority, our contributions to the well-being of the citizens of Indianapolis, the state of Indiana, and beyond. In many different ways, IUPUI's outstanding staff, our productive faculty, and our successful students work hand in hand with this great community. Even in the face of pandemic, we are continuing to build ever stronger relationship with our community partners. Through our Fairbanks School of Public Health, for instance, IUPUI worked in partnership with the Indiana State Department of Health to lead a statewide prevalence study of COVID-19 transmission. I'm especially proud that other institutions, including Harvard and Johns Hopkins University, were turning to IUPUI for guidance on designing similar studies. Take a look at this video for a little more information about this study.
We are the only state that has been able to do a scientific random sample study of COVID-19 at the state level. So the Indiana prevalence study is really trying to capture at multiple time periods how many people have ever been infected with the SARS-CoV-2 virus in Indiana. One of the reasons that's so important is because it's different than the case reports that we get on a regular basis. Cases really represent the tip of the iceberg. We know there's many more people who are infected out there. And at the end of the day, the prevalence study is trying to determine how many people are infected at a given time in Indiana. By randomly selecting people and then testing them both for virus and antibodies, we're able to determine how many people were infected in total, including the folks that might have been infected and didn't have any symptoms or very mild symptoms and never got checked. One of the things that our study did that really impacted how the CDC talks about COVID-19, first and foremost, because we did a random sample, we were able to determine scientifically the proportion of the population that is asymptomatic and infected. And so that's one of the things that our study contributed now, I think that is worldwide understood as one of the serious ramifications of the nature of these infections. And why it's so exciting is that we're able to not only push forward with the latest and greatest research, the latest and greatest policies, and the latest and greatest public health practice, but we're also able to include students in the process. I believe we are giving a first-hand experience to tomorrow's experts in controlling infectious diseases, figuring out the epidemiology of this or any other threatening disease to society, and being able to work with policymakers and understanding the impact of different policies and different social and behavioral responses that individuals and communities might have to protect themselves into the future.
I want to congratulate Dr. Nir Menakami and his expansive team of partners on this very important project. Thank you so much. While we were watching the video, I noticed that Chancellor Emeritus Jerry Pepko has joined us, so I want to welcome him. In addition to this groundbreaking prevalence study, the Fairbanks School is also working in partnership with the City of Indianapolis and the Marion County Public Health Department to expand the city's contact tracing program. As you know, contact tracing tracks the person-to-person transmission of COVID-19 and is a vital part of our strategy to slow the spread of the disease. I want to share a word of thanks to Fairbanks School founding dean, Paul Halverson, for all that he has done during this crisis to provide leadership, scholarship, and guidance, both on our campus and throughout the state. Thank you very much, Paul. At the end of September, we officially concluded the For All Bicentennial fundraising campaign that benefits so many IUPUI students. This was the first university-wide philanthropic campaign at Indiana University. I'm proud to say that every school on the IUPUI campus surpassed its goal. This tremendous success is due to the hard work of our gift officers, directors, and deans, as well as the leadership of the IU Foundation Vice President Dee Matai. I want to congratulate these Red Ribbon guests and thank them for their good work. Thank you. The total IUPUI, including medicine, amount raised was more than $2.17 billion. That's with a B, dollars, 2.17. I also want to thank the more than 6,800 members of the IUPUI faculty, our staff, and our retirees who donated. 6,800 members of the IUPUI faculty, our staff, and our retirees who donated more than $76 million to that campaign. Your generosity has made a transformative difference in the life of our campus, especially for our students. We have been successful on so many fronts, even in the face of global pandemic, because of the leadership team on this campus. I look back and think about the chancellors that preceded me. They worked tirelessly to generate a culture that values planning, collaboration, and innovation at the same time that it encourages vision to creative risk-taking. I have learned so much from their examples and hope that my own contributions will stand up as strongly as theirs to the scrutiny of the future. I see leadership vision every time I meet with my Council of Deans, which includes my cabinet, and I'm grateful for this group's sacrifice and their dedication. As you know, we have welcomed 2 new deans this year, both selected after competitive national searches. Dean of McKinney Law, Karen Bravo, is bringing 16 years of experience on the IUPUI campus to her new leadership role, which she assumed on July 1. And Dean of the School of Science, John DeTuso, joined us on August 1st from Louisiana State University, where he has served as department chair among other leadership roles. In addition, we'll be welcoming incoming Dean of the School of Liberal Arts, Tammy Eitel, in January. At this point, I want to extend my deep gratitude to Rob Reben for seeing the School of Liberal Arts through this period of transition. I really appreciate it, Rob. Thank you. As I reflect on all of these updates, my mind necessarily turns to the future. There will be a dawn that breaks after this pandemic, and we need to be ready for it. At an appropriate time, I will be assembling a working group to begin the planning process that will position us as an even stronger, more responsive, and more innovative campus as we put the pandemic behind us. I mentioned at the outset of my remarks that the thread that holds the story of IUPUI together is made up of people. Students need help, and IUPUI faculty, staff, and supporters generously provide it. Healthcare workers need a place to stay between shifts, and IUPUI steps up to provide that space. This is what we as Jaguars do. We take care of each other and try in different ways to make a positive difference in the world. If the thread that connects all of this is people, then the theme of this story is hope. Hope that treatments like Lily is working on will offer people a pathway towards health. Hope that vaccines now in development will save lives and turn the tide against the virus. We know that with science, medicine, and public health expertise, we'll win this battle and we'll see return to normalcy. It will take time, but we have each other and we have hope and we have the power of education. Thank you very much for all you do for IUPUI. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Padar, and thank you all again for joining us for the Chancellor's virtual State of the Campus address. An archived version of the Chancellor's talk will be available at broadcast.iu.edu, and a printed version will be on his website. You will see both of those links in the chat. I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Be safe.